Pause this video, go outside, raise your standards and come back in. This is for players. Watching PNM, UNC, PNM and thinking that still at this point you supporting either of those two parties, go in your bathroom, stand up in the mirror and slap yourself in your face real hard. Real hard. If it is sting and make you cuss, slap again. Slap till you slap some sense into yourself. The media, Loop, Express, Guardian, TV6, CNC3 rushed to give you bullshit yesterday. What's the bullshit again? Kamala and Faris. Kamala and Faris in a 12-hour marathon session. Kamala and Faris Al-Rawi, also known as Johnny Sukaran. Johnny Sukaran, heir to Magistrate Ian Sukaran of Porsche 928S fame. That Johnny Sukaran. Listen, the media tell you yesterday that they, in a marathon session, they pass a bill called Explain Your Wealth. The PNM and the UNC, let me touch this. Let me touch it. Let me touch this because you see, this is a bullshit-free zone. Loop is owned by Digicel. Digicel rides around, the managing director, the CEO, David Thompson's wife, drives around in maxi taxis with ministers and MPs from the PNM. Digicel makes its money off PNM and easements in the public space by PNM and UNC. Loop is owned by Digicel. Loop trolls social media to take your post and give it a government spin, propaganda for hire. Ignore Loop and the bullshit. Guardian, Express, TV6, Newsday, you know, propaganda, copy and paste bullshit. Let me touch it. Because how could Kamala and the AG, hey man, Kamla Persad-Bissessar and Faris Al-Rawi, this is what the media will have you believe, in a marathon 12-hour session, hammered out and explain your wealth bill, and it sounds sensible. It sounds like something, but we need that. Yes, we do. But Satan and Lucifer hammer out the deal. How you could call them that, Phil? Well, let's see. Kamla Persad-Bissessar and Faris Al-Rawi represent the PNM and the UNC and all, not 99%, not 99.99%, all 100% of the corruption that took place for the history of Trinidad and Tobago was done by the PNM and the UNC. We sent the PNM and the UNC, we sent the wolves to protect the sheep. We sent the foxes to protect the chickens. Tell me when you have the analogy, Pat. Tell me when you understand what I'm trying to tell you. The PNM and the UNC writing laws to end corruption when the PNM and the UNC are the authors and finishers of corruption in Trinidad and Tobago. Tell me when you understand. I'm going deeper, you know. But tell me when you're on the same page. Tell me when your wheels on the tracks. And if you're not aligned as yet, switch off. Go your way. There are other people doing live videos for you to blow smoke up your ass. This and that. This is for critical thinkers and people who want the truth. The foxes guarding the chickens. The wolves defending how to safeguard the sheep. Let's talk. Let's discuss this. Kamla Persad-Bissessar was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago from 2010 when the PNM lost to the People's Partnership / UNC government. Okay? In the death of the PNM government, Patrick Manning and Faris Al-Rawi broke the law and signed a lease for One Alexandra Place that cost this country hundreds of millions of dollars to rent a building owned by Faris, his wife, and her family that we rented for 5 years and 6 months under Kamla and never used, not once. How did that happen? For all the senior counsel that Kamla and Ram Logan give each other, they are just enough lawyer to not be able to break one lease. That lease that Johnny Sukaran wrote, that Manning signed, that lease was the strongest lease ever written in history. Because Kamla Persad-Bissessar, Anand Ram Logan, and a Minister of Legal Affairs, no other than Prakash Ramadan, I mean, they were drowned in law degrees in that UNC. And they couldn't break one lease for a building that didn't have approvals when it was rented, for a building that the person who was renting it and the person who signed to rent it didn't have the authority to sign. Kamla fool you and make you believe that she and Faris is anything less than bosom buddies. For 5 years and 6 months, the UNC dutifully paid Mona Nahus and her father and her brothers and her husband, Faris Johnny Sukaran Al-Rawi, for an empty building standing on the corner of Alexandra and Tragrid Road like a grotesque silver middle finger to decency and law. That Kamla would have you believe that she understands how to stop corruption. The Kamla Persad-Bissessar that rode into government on Jack Warner's back. That Kamla Persad-Bissessar. The Kamla Persad-Bissessar whose government who was part of the government that gave Ish and Steve free rein to plunder the treasury because Brian Kwaitong and Johnny Sung and Ish Dalbaran Singh gave $3 million to Basdeo Pandey in a party in Valsade. That Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who was the first female Minister of Legal Affairs, the first female Attorney General, didn't know how to break that lease. That Kamla Persad-Bissessar was part and parcel of Section 34. That Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who was part and parcel of writing and passing Section 34. The Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who as leader of the government took the law and her team into President's house on a long weekend in the dead of night while Bo Tiwari was spending treasury money to fool you with this, what this Syrian boy name is, Andre Abraham fireworks, $100 million in fireworks. Ooh, we 50 years old, spend the money, no man. Give Andre Abraham more money, no problem. But while all are distracted, Owen and I, and we 50 years old, and Marshall Montano and Tony Chowlinan, whole of 5 million, distract them black hen chicken for me. We going in President's house to write and pass a law to to free Ish and Steve for answering for Piarco Airport in an arrangement that was alleged to have involved players of the like of Ross Advertising, Ernie Ross and Royal Castle, and a sum of $25 million paid. This has never been debunked. Nobody has ever had to answer for this because we've been playing musical chairs between the PNM and the UNC, the two sources of corruption in this country. Nobody else, you know. Nobody else. The Chamber of Commerce don't do it by itself, you know. The Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association don't do it by itself. The drug lords and the drug barons not passing cocaine through Trinidad in spite of the government, but because of them. The government is fully aware of the role they play in facilitating massive drug shipments through Trinidad and Tobago. All of this is fact. All of this you can verify. And I want to ask again, how is it possible for an entire nation to be fooled so easily, so completely, so continuously? How is it possible that we could take this same madness time after time after time?
Progress is impossible without.
How is that possible? How is it possible that we could time after time after time take this same foolishness?
Fly up to this change. UNC change up, things rearrange up. This is things they get rid of.
I hear the Bible say, Satan quoting scripture, when the PNM and the UNC meet in our parliament to write law to deal with corruption, when all 100% of the corruption that has ever taken place in this country has been PNM and UNC fronted, come na man.
Pass. Let the past be the past. UNC brand new. They're going to tell you. This is since the humble don't ramish. The party have no more rubbish.
But when I look around, what do I see?
Recycled politicians. I see kangaroos like a salmon from Logan,
jumping from bandwagon to wagon.
So they polish and shine, then fall back in line.
But that cannot thief my mind. Jump high, jump low,
whether sun or rain.
I am falling for that again.
It's the same faces, new administration, same faces.
Now in new position,
same faces. With a brand new chief,
UNC, the same bunch of scamming thieves.
When the airport billions disappear, remember, Rudlal was right there. When the English bank account didn't declare, remember, Warner was right there. But they changed their pants and they changed their skirt. They changed their blouse and they changed their shirt. They even changed the style of their hair, but they changed their stinking underwear.
Now let me talk about your Attorney General, Faris Al-Rawi, who wants you to explain your wealth. Faris, can your family explain their wealth? Can your ancestors, your grandfather, your mother, will you go and dig up? You say you want to go into inheritance. Will they be able to explain their wealth? Forget the Sukarans, small money, jumping the Nahus family. A man asked, at what point did the Nahus family go from sifting sand to throwing up multi-million-dollar buildings? And how did that happen? When did that piece of magic take place for them to get fabulously wealthy to the point that they own half of Woodbrook? They own half of Woodbrook. Will the Nahus family have to explain the source of that magnificent wealth? Faris Al-Rawi, how did you come to break the law again? Because Trinidad and Tobago has been distracted by a lot of bullshit, including Sabga News Network ramming a buck down their throat and have people falling for foolishness. Faris Al-Rawi, as Attorney General, cannot do business with the state because the state cannot enter into any legal binding contract unless it is bound by the Attorney General. So if the Attorney General, through his office, signs off on a lease that he he benefits from through marriage and otherwise. He resigned as a director but remained a significant shareholder himself to himself, breaking the absolute law. That man, he, on behalf of the People's National Movement of Calder Hart and Johnny O'Halloran and Sam P. Wallace and the rest, that party is writing a law to deal with corruption. Keith Rowley talking about white-collar criminals. That is all Keith Rowley know. Keith Rowley has serial questions to answer from Landgate, which he get away on a technicality. Cleaver Heights, Manning didn't lie. Where the $10 million went, Rowley. But most importantly, let's talk Nazim Bash and AV Oil. How come of all the things Super Gary touch, we can't touch AV Oil yet? How come we can't get an answer on what is going on? I tell people already, you know, for us to save this country, some are we going to have to dead. We have to stand up to this bullshit and call it out. You see, all of them who still grabbing and pushing Trinidad money in their pocket because it's a fire sale. When Dupree and Carlos John and Monta and them was looting CL Financial, the company's secretary, the company secretary of CL Financial and Clico, Gita Sakal, she said she wrote herself a check for 25 million because they was going with it. That's what's happening in Trinidad. There are a lot of people who don't care if it burned to shit down, you know, as long as they get their piece to go. But we had to deal with this. We have to bring this into the public space. The Kamla Persad Bissessar of the UNC, whose party, the Education Facilities Company Limited, desperately in need of an audit. If you audit just the Ministry of Communication under Kamla Persad Bissessar, plenty people have a jail to make. If you audit the National Lotteries Control Board that is being used by drug barons in this country to launder money on a massive scale, if you were to audit the NLCB to see who own machines selling Playway every day in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, but nobody ain't going in their business place, you know, them paying putting a bet on every number they sell because one must win, and when that one wins, you're getting a crisp NLCB check, clean money. It is time to have a conversation, but it is not. The PNM and the UNC cannot write the law. The PNM and the UNC cannot decide who and how we go about fighting corruption when the entirety of the PNM and the UNC is built on corruption.
Change. I said to change. I wanna fly up to the sky.
The Faris Al-Rawi that canceled the Malcolm Jones lawsuit. The Faris Al-Rawi is likened to the Anand Ramlogan who cancelled the Ishwa Galbaran Singh Steve Ferguson extradition. These people taking care of themselves and taking care of each other. You cannot trust Kamla for all her bullshit that tell you she went there with 63 amendments to protect the citizens. Why you didn't protect the citizens from Roger Ganesh and Calco, Kamla? You went to protect the citizens. Why you didn't protect the citizens from Anil Roberts and Live Sport, Kamala? How much of y'all was eating then and eating big? It is time that Trinidad and Tobago see and recognize the PNM and the UNC for what they are. The same criminal co-conspirators, white-collar bandits that plunder this nation under the PNM do so under the UNC as well. And it is time to address this.
PNM vibrant, sounding triumphant, with Rowley on the platform, everybody acting like norm. PNM ready, they say the ship's steady, no confidence motion aside, the Bali say have nothing to hide. But when I look around, what do I see? Yes men politicians, I see the good, the bad and the ugly going back for re-election. So this way it's the truth and investment in youth. That is what we are told. But now I'm wondering, Paul, is it people who easier to control? It's the same faces who support the Rowley plot, same faces who supported you the cut, same faces still in disbelief. Look around, the same bunch of scamming ticks. Remember, Conrad was right there. But they changed the socks and they changed the shoe. They even changed makeup artists too. They put on perfume smelling like a rose, but they had changed their...
We're renting our boat for $96 million for the year that we could have bought for $50 million. That making any sense?
Yeah, stinking underclothes. Change. Change. I wanna fly right up to the sky. Sister Kamala, come clean. The world going green. We want to ask you this for a while. Is it true or false? Warner has a file. Father Manning, come good. Or you get in wood. Look, we do not want to encroach. Is it true or false? You're building a church. Because when I look around, what do I see? Cunning politicians. I see men who would sacrifice their own people to advance their own ambition. So we caught up in hype while ignoring the type of leaders we choose to promote. Men who will put on court, rush to take oath, then turn around and bust with truth. Same faces, smiling for the camera. Same faces, only talking tata. Same faces, there is no relief. Look around, the same bunch of stabbing thieves. When Ish and Fergie had money to share, remember, Kamala was right there. When Montel was financing without fear.
Remember when Andre Montai helped himself to the home mortgage bank?
Without fear, remember, Manning was right there. So they changed the bra and they changed the tie. They changed the truth and turned it a lie. They have outfits to change for the courts, but they had changed their stinking jockey shots. Change. Change.
After this video, I am going to post a post that says whether PNM or UNC from 1962 to now, any piece of corruption, allegation or rumor you have ever heard, just write it in the comments. Just write it in the comments. From TNTech, PowerGen, UDCOT, Bywater, Millet and the fire hydrants, the Central Bank Towers, Mount Hope, Foreshore Freeway, Uriah Butler Highway, Scarborough Hospital, Taruba, Couva Hospital, Point Fortin Hospital. If I write, you just put, you Caroli Racing Complex, live sport, I am going to ask you, just write any issue, item that you have ever heard, an allegation or a rumor of any kind, as corruption in Trinidad and Tobago. We have never bought a single thing. We bought saltwater fire mains, spent billions of dollars, they work for a year. We have never been able, we brought companies here where the front companies who brought them made hundreds of millions of dollars. The Foreshore Freeway was in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most expensive strip of highway on the planet for decades. For decades, that piece of shit, the most expensive because of corruption. Nothing in this country has ever been bought or sold without somebody in either the PNM or the UNC getting a corrupt kickback. This is a nasty and broken country. It's stink and rotten to the core. But you cannot tell me that you are going to put the PNM and the UNC that did all of the thieving to go and write a law called Explain Your Wealth. God himself have to be in stitches. That is an insanity. I tell people, Faris Al-Rawi have more belly than a cow. Faris Al-Rawi is the last man to be talking about corruption. He's an enabler and a getaway car driver. These people don't care. They don't care. And let me tell you, they have some family members in that thing now that enjoying themselves. They have one family. Mother, father, sister, brother, cousin, neighbor, uncle. All of them get $100 million contracts under the PNM, you know. under the PNM. They have things that have taken place in this country you will never know about. So corrupt and so nasty. But because it just didn't make news, or because something else pushed it out in news, you don't know. Lampposts, cable, thing that hang from cable, pipe that run underground, backhoe driver license, all of these things, anything that you touch in Trinidad and Tobago is tainted by the corruption brush. And the reality of our situation is you cannot escape the fact that the PNM and the UNC have been the cause and the facilitator. Yes, Eric Williams was a corrupt and evil son of a bitch. Yes, Eric Williams was. Yes, Eric Williams and his friends in the secret society that was manipulating Trinidad and Tobago from behind the scenes then, that manipulating Trinidad and Tobago now. You have a responsibility. A man asked me questions today about a PEP policy. I say, you know what you always do? It's like you're playing a joke. When you was in school, remember that joke we used to make? Where the plane crash? Germany. How much people dead? 50. Name them. PEP get the last line. Name them. We always have the hardest part of the thing to answer. You will never ask the PNM and the UNC for two reasons. One, they're not going to answer you. And two, if you ask them, you have to face the reality. A lot of people don't want that. There is a company in the States that developed a completely safe cigarette 30 years ago. 30 years ago. It was sponsored. You could Google this, you could research this, and this will shock you. It was sponsored by Big American Tobacco, and they sponsored the development of a completely safe cigarette that cannot cause cancer. And when they developed it, they buried it because they realized that if they went to market with it, they would be admitting that their product caused cancer, and that they knew, even if just for the duration of the time, that they were developing a cancer-free cigarette. You see how that works? Not just what you say, what you do say, not what you do, what was driving what you do. Trinidadians and Tobagonians have to understand that everything that is wrong in this country is as a direct result of either your vote or for you not voting. And that's a catch-22. And for the first and only time in this country's history, you have a real political vehicle that is an alternative to both, that has plans and policies that rocking the roots of the vampire system. The banks trying to duck it, Kamla and keep trying to thief with ideas and with plans and with policies to pass it as theirs, so they can come across at least pseudo-intellectual and having a handle on things. But your responsibility here cannot be abdicated. You cannot expect that the PNM and the UNC that was capable of such massive corruption, the PNM that looted Petrotrin, came back and sold Petrotrin to their friends. And you will find out what took place under this PNM. While you was fighting down Sandals, only thought Sandals was the only play. You give this government the opportunity to get away with some of these human rights and civil liberty eviscerating laws, and we will rue the day that we ever abdicated our responsibility as people in this country. The truth of the matter is, you can't stop people thieving when you talk as much as I talk. But we could prove to them that prior to the Progressive Empowerment Party coming on the scene, neither the PNM nor the UNC ever enunciated at no time ever one of these plans or ideas. But the truth, and come back to this, let us get to a place where they can't bullshit us no more, where Satan can't quote scripture to us, where they can't put the wolves to mind the sheep and the fox to mind the hens. Let us get to a place where we understand our role as citizens in the republic is more important than any public office holder and any political party leader. Let us get to the point where we take responsibility for our country and treat it with the sacred responsibility it deserves. In a democracy and a republic ruled by law, the power of the government rests with the people. It is your responsibility and mine to not abdicate and not let them get away. This law is a bullshit law. Any law that Kamla and Faris agree on, throw it in the rubbish, because that ain't going after the real corrupt sons of bitches. Trust me. note today because people have been asking, okay, so if not that law, what would you do? What would the Progressive Empowerment Party do? And I am reminded of Akil Camps, who is the head of the North Hub, who said in his contribution at the opening of the North Hub's office in Barataria that all our policies work together for a better Trinidad and Tobago. And that is an absolute fact. That is a complete and total fact. I want you to hear what I wrote as a result of what took place in the Parliament yesterday. Yesterday, this country's elected opposition supported an onerous and frightening bill that is a challenge to democracy that can now become law because its leader says she forced amendments to make it less draconian, which is okay until one considers that now that it is law, any government in the future can use simple majority votes to amend and weaponize it to its original intent. In other words, the entire 12 hours yesterday was wasted time because you passed the law and then you could come back and amend it with an empty parliament. In other words, for all the sound and fury and cheap PR, the opposition was again caught napping while the PNM government attempts to strip our citizens of rights and liberties. And it is way beyond time that we not only vote these two incompetent, racist and corrupt parties into the dustbin of our politics, but to take the time to repeal each and every one of these laws that have the potential to make this a police state. In their stead, the Progressive Empowerment Party proposes to create a robust and transparent tenders process for all procurement of goods and services and sale or lease of state assets, shut down the special purpose companies whose only purpose is to end-run the tenders process, remove NIPDEC from airport building, disco financing and state project bankrolling and return it to its original remit, enact laws that prevent the development of super contractors by ensuring that all public works done within constituencies are carried out by contractors from those constituencies and employ labor from the communities. That we end the drug trade once and for all and the accompanying illegal weapon trade by shutting down the nation's borders with the establishment of the Maritime Security Wall, removing the port of Port of Spain to Point Lisas to a facility 5 to 10 times the size to allow for the unstuffing of all shipping containers, and the removal of the free movement of diplomatic pouches until TNT is no longer part of the global narcotics transshipment pipeline. In other words, stop pretending that problems cannot be solved unless you shackle the citizens to oppressive and draconian laws and instead implement real management policies to the benefit of all the people of this country. The Progressive Empowerment Party intends to amend the Constitution of the Republic to enshrine a Citizens' Bill of Rights that would begin with the preamble, "From this day forward, Parliament shall make no law that abridges the human rights and civil liberties of the people of Trinidad and Tobago herein described." To prevent tinkering by any future fronts of any contract mafias or white-collar criminal conspiracies bent on herding the people of this country into consumers and labor. We can have a real country, a functional nature, a better land. We can have prosperity, free movement and peace. We can live in a land where every creed and race are free to find their expression space, and we could do it with much less political bacchanal and noise. I go to great lengths to break down how our country should be run in response to all the machinations of these two fake and failed parties, and it is up to you to go back to them and question their motives and intent. Ask them to answer with what you read here. When they host public meetings, if they have no open mic sessions, raise your hand, stand up and ask questions. Go to their Facebook and social media posts and ask in the comments. Ask on the media stories. Call into radio shows and ask. Demonstrate, if you still want to support them, that you would rather not be ridden like a donkey. And depending on their responses, you will know what next to do with the power of your vote. I cannot tell you to share and make these things viral. Only you can know the level of conversation you want for the country you and your loved ones live in. We all have the power to change this land for the better, or to continue to allow those with nefarious intent to abuse our parliament for the creation of a top-down oligarchy, a nation where the rich get richer robbing you. We have every right to a better nation, and many a way to get there. We simply have to want it. Trinidad and Tobago is as it is because we have allowed the elites to play us for fools, dividing us by race and distracting us with nonsense. It is time to flip that script. It is time to change the national conversation to one where those hired to operate our public offices do so with integrity and professionalism and answer to the people of this country regularly and respectfully. It is time to undo and redo Trinidad and Tobago to functionality. It is time we became a better nation.
It is that
This Saturday at noon, 19 Stanmore Avenue. Again, we are there. Public meeting. Come out in your numbers. Open mic. Add your voice. Add your say. Again, peptrinbago@gmail.com is our primary email address. Our website, peptt.com. 347-4PEP is the way to contact us. Is our hotline. Pep app, there is an app, PEP, APP, feel free to download that. We have a YouTube channel for those who don't get it on Facebook. Access the YouTube channel to share with them. This Sunday at 5 p.m. we are in Sangre Grande for a public meeting. Grande, we come in on April 14, 2019. The Progressive Empowerment Party will be hosting an open mic session featuring myself and a powerful lineup of speakers. Upper Sangre Grande, Perseverance Community Center, Boys Town. Session starts at 5 p.m. For more information, you can call 763-9889. That is 763-9889. The Orange Army is on the move. Trinidad and Tobago, you have an organization not just built on talk. Plenty people turn on these live videos and talk a crocus bag of nonsense to you. Now I'm saying that because after the video done, what? After the video done, what? Those who all over the media, those who Fazir interviewing, Hema interviewing the papers, if you agree with them, what? What's the next step? They don't have a plan. They don't have a clue. They don't have an idea. Last night, somebody named about 5 people on Stephen Rees thread and said, all of y'all should come together. I said, not just them, and I suggested more. Because you see, this work here that some people take for granted, if you come and see, between last week, Saturday and now, just that, between Saturday, we had a massive meeting Saturday, we had planning sessions for the hubs, North, East, Central, South Tobago. This Saturday, we're on the radio Monday and tomorrow, Wednesday. This Saturday, we have a public meeting again. Sunday, we have a public meeting. A couple of weeks from now, I'm waiting on the date right now, we're having our grand opening of the Tampuna Road Arima East Hub office. I mean, it is a lot of work. Building a political party is plenty more than talk. When they get down to it and they sit down in meetings and they try to just agree, they realize how impossible a task it is. You see, the PNM and the UNC is built on racism. You could tell the majority of the UNC party hate black people and they will come and join you. Hate Indian people, the PNM. Because that's all they bring to the table. And it's easy for black people to see black people. It's easy for Indian people to see Indian people. When you're telling Trinbagonians to stand up on patriotism, stand up for love of country, stand up for a better Trinidad and Tobago, it's hard for them to believe. When for all of the 56 years of our independence, they've been told, vote race or don't vote at all. And what has that gotten us? What's that gotten us? What has that gotten black or Indian people? And God blessed, at least He blessed Indian people who weren't enslaved because Indians were just as enslaved as black people. Don't feel it was that much easier to be an indentured servant as it was to be a slave. Because being an indentured servant, you sold yourself into slavery. But indentureship didn't last as long. They stripped the grandchildren of Africa, they stripped the black people of any sense of identity, of any plan or purpose. They stripped them of culture, they stripped them of community. At least the Indian people in Trinidad and Tobago were still, at least, they had that and were able to pull together and marshal some resources. The PNM and the UNC, though, have taken advantage of weakness, taken advantage of people's need for leadership and led them astray, abused them, taken advantage. Listen, that is the worst kind of crime to commit against people. When people need your help to do them wrong, then that is a sin worthy of hell. Trinidad and Tobago has an opportunity now to stand together as one people under one flag. Drop the nonsense of racism. It is not benefiting you to divide yourself into an Indian party and a black party, because neither of you are benefiting from the government when they're in office. The truth of the matter is, what is supposed to happen is the people being served by the government. No separation on the ground. The divide is between the employers and the employees. And if you step up to do the job and you can't do the job, fire yourself. And if you step up to do the job and you can't do the job, we collectively, black, white, red, green, and every shade in between, we will fire you. That's how the country is supposed to be run. That's how it was supposed to be run. Today we found out we are spending twice the value that we were paying for the Superfast Galatia for this, whatever the name of this boat is that they just rent from another PNM financier. And the people feel powerless. And the only reason you feel powerless is because you have been marginalized and relegated to Indian and black votes or have no voice at all. You've allowed yourself to be put to have your political expression and the power of your high public offices stolen from you. Take it back. It is time to reclaim control of Trinidad and Tobago from the contract mafia that does all the banditry and split it with these politicians. We explain your wealth. These two bandit parties write a law called Explain Your Wealth. You think either of them could explain their wealth? You think Kamala and Keith Rowley could explain their wealth? And them is joke to some of what's going on in those two parties. Trinidad and Tobago, come on, man, come on. Don't let them be able to laugh at you. Don't let them be able to laugh at you. That's what they do. The elites in this society laugh at you. They call you stupid. They say you're foolish. Your work is to work and to dead. That's what they say. That's what they say about you. Keep them stupid. Treat them like mushrooms. I've heard this joke in a high society party. Keep the voters like mushrooms. Treat them like mushrooms. Keep them in the dark and feed them bullshit. That is what the PNM and the UNC think of you. Listen, anyway, we're on the road. We're picking up steam, gathering resources, building out the movement. If you want a better Trinidad and Tobago, this Saturday at noon, we're in 19 Stanmore Avenue. Sunday, where's the address of this place? Sunday, we're in Sangre Grande at Upper Sangre Grande Perseverance Community Center, Boys Town. We're there at 5 o'clock Sunday. We're in headquarters Saturday at noon. You want a better country? Step forward. Add yourself to the conversation. The better Trinidad and Tobago we need is on the other side of what we do right now. See you then. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.